is that India is heading for a record FDI inflow this year, and this is largely a consequence of macroeconomic stability. There's fiscal consolidation in the Indian economy, there's political stability, inflation is at a all-time low. We've had a reduction of 125 basis points during the last 12 months on the interest rates, and I think there's a huge push for all the stalled projects. So all the right things. I think the direction is absolutely perfect. The government has given huge impetus to all the correct things.
Mr. Kant, let me talk to you specifically about FDI into manufacturing. And this perhaps is the heartening story at this point in time, because FDI in manufacturing, as per this report, has grown at the fastest pace that we've seen in the last 7 years. You know, we've been talking, and you and I have discussed this, the likes of Foxconn and so on and so forth, setting up assembly facilities in India. How confident do you feel about continuing to attract big-ticket dollars when it comes to manufacturing?
I think there's two very unique findings about this report. One is the fact that FDI has seen a huge resurgence as far as manufacturing is concerned. And my view is that this is a huge plus for this government, because I think manufacturing is the area which is going to create jobs, and therefore we've seen in recent times all the mobile manufacturers actually manufacturing in India for the domestic market. We've seen Siemens, we've seen Daimler, we've seen GE, we've seen just about every top company of the world coming in to manufacture here. And my belief is that India will become a very attractive destination for marketing for various reasons. One of which is that in terms of sheer cost differential, India will be far better placed than China, simply because the wage rates in China have increased enormously over the last 3 years. But I think the second unique finding of this study is the fact that by 2020, India will be one of the top 3 economies. India will be a regional and a global hub for manufacturing, and that India will be one of the top 3 manufacturing nations of the world. I think those 3 findings are very remarkable as far as this particular study is concerned. But more than anything else, I think what the E&Y's study does is to reconfirm and reaffirm the findings of several other studies which have taken place recently. The FP study, the foreign policy maximum, so several other studies. These are, they're all saying the same thing, that India is right on top right now. We just need to sustain this, we need to accelerate this, and we need to provide even greater and greater momentum as far as macroeconomic policies are concerned.
You know, speaking of policy and speaking of this ease of doing business, Rajiv Memani, if I were to ask you, and there have been several bold measures that have been taken, or at least measures that were anticipated would have been taken by the previous government that have been pushed through by this government when it comes to opening up FDI across sectors. Defense has now gone up to 49%. We've seen liberalization as far as the insurance sector is concerned. But let me ask you about those 2 sectors in specific, since we're talking about Make in India and we're talking about the growth of the financial services sector. Despite the fact that several partners, existing joint venture partners, have already applied for FIPB approval and so on and so forth, almost 10 or 11 months down the line, we actually haven't seen any money come in for the insurance sector. Similar story seems to be playing out even as far as the defense sector is concerned. Rajiv Memani, why do you think that is the case?
So I would say in the defense sector, I think the key thing will be, I think the defense contracts, the large defense contracts still have to be issued. I think there is some more clarification on policy that's required. So I think people are ready. A lot of companies are investing a lot of time and money to understand what's happening. I think they're ready with their plans. But by the time they roll it out, I think it will take, the contracts will have to be issued. That unfortunately have not yet been issued. And some more clarity on the procurement policy, some more clarity on the offset policy, I think those things will be required. So I think once that's done, it will take, because defense are, large contracts. Without the contracts, people are hesitant to put in the manufacturing capacity. On insurance side, I think, valuations, IRDA clearances, FIPB approvals, understanding between partners, plus some issues around management control, what does management control mean and everything else.
Yeah.
I think those issues are, somewhere whilst the percentages have been changed, I think there are some peculiarities that have come in terms of management control. I think that's been a bit of a dampener. But I would say at least 4 or 5 of these applications are now moving ahead. And I'm hopeful that in the next, 3 to 4 months, you will see, some amount of foreign capital come in. Also may look at some companies listing in 12 to 18 months' time.
Mr. Kant, let me put the same question to you. Do you accept that, while there was liberalization in sectors like insurance, we didn't really keep pace with what needed to be done on the regulatory front? It got caught up in all of these issues of ownership and control. Do you feel confident that we are likely to see fresh money coming into the insurance sector? And also, when it comes to defense, the offset policy, the new procurement policy has been in the making. We were expecting it a while back. We still have no clarity on whether we will get those new policies by the end of this year or not. Do you feel that somewhere we are perhaps squandering an opportunity?
So my belief is that defense manufacturing will be one of the key drivers of India's growth. I mean, there's a huge possibility. I think a lot of more orders need to flow from the defense ministry. The defense offset policy is at a very advanced stage. I think a number of decisions have been taken for future as far as offset policy is concerned. I think they need to set right a couple of things with retrospective effect. The defense procurement policy is also at its final stages, and I think in the next 2 to 3 months you'll see a huge movement altogether on the defense side. And my personal belief is that defense will just get cracked in one shot, and you'll see a lot of investment coming in. In fact, that will be the biggest driver of India's manufacturing in the years to come. On the insurance side, we've moved from 26 to 49. There have been issues of control and ownership. To my mind, we need to grandfather the existing arrangements so that there's absolute clarity on this. Having said this, I think 4 or 5 proposals are before the FIPB. They should get approved, and I think you will see a lot of more investment coming in the insurance side. So both insurance and defense, from the time the decisions were taken, it's been hardly 3 to 4 months. I think these are sectors which take about minimum 6 to 7 months, and I think in the next 3 to 4 months you'll see huge inflows. In fact, they will be the key drivers of FDI inflows into India in the coming years.
On that note, we'll slip